Hey all, it is I, Anthony the Canadian Guy, and welcome to Wrestlesode, the solution to your wrestling information problems. If you want to support Wrestlesode, remember to hit that like button and subscribe on whatever podcast app you're listening to this on. It also helps out the show immensely if you left us a 5-star rating or review or just told a friend. All of that goes a long way to really helping out this channel, so thank you so much for doing any of that. If you want to check out our social medias, we are on Twitter at Wrestlesode, on Instagram at Wrestlesode, we are at Facebook.com/Wrestlesode, and we have our website over at Wrestlesode.com, where you can check out all of our latest podcasts there. We are also now on YouTube. I do not have a channel link yet, but it will all be in the description. If you want to check me out at any of these places, go down there to check it out. And now, moving on to the actual fun stuff. So I wanted to take a little bit of a break today from our traditional reviews, what's going on in wrestling. And I want to go back and try to do something a little bit more lighthearted. There's a lot of the Wednesday Night Wars right now, and I'm going to say I'm guilty of all of this. So there's a lot of AEW versus NXT. Who's better? Who's the better fanboy? Oh my God, the other side is really bad. And then there's the other people who are also like, hey, everybody, it's just chill. Just enjoy the wrestling. And then there's also a lot of main roster bashing because of the degrading quality that even I'm saying is happening right now between Raw and SmackDown. And there's a lot of cool stuff happening with NWA and New Japan, but I want to take a break from all of that. I just want to stay positive today. No negativity, no brand bashing. We're just going to do something really fun. We are going to flex my improv skills because I'm doing all of this on the fly and I'm not trained in improv. So this is going to be probably very bad. I'm going to make feuds using a randomizer. I have taken a list of a bunch of male and female wrestlers, both tag teams and independents and factions, from the main roster to NXT to AEW. There's a lot of different wrestlers in here. I'm going to randomly choose 2 different wrestlers, and I have another generator that generates 3 nouns, and I can pick from any of those 3 nouns, and I have to create a feud, and I have to, a couple of different rules. I have rules for this, and I will tell you what these rules are in this random feud generator challenge that I have created for myself making some feuds. So number 1, the first rule is I can elect to not use a noun if I already have a great idea for a feud and the noun doesn't necessarily fit. I will try my best to integrate them, so I will try not to use this rule, but if I automatically think of an amazing idea for a feud and I think I can make a good idea and I don't need a noun, I don't need to use the noun. The second is I have 3 different nouns at my disposal. I will read out all 3 nouns as long as they're appropriate. If not, I have to change them. But I will choose one of them and we will try to make a feud between X and Y wrestler because of Z noun. It's kind of like an old, Mad Lib where you used to have to fill in the nouns and the verbs. And then next, I can add additional superstars to my feuds, additional wrestlers, but they also have to be randomly generated from the list. So if I think an idea for a feud, but I need more people for it, I can use people, but I have to randomly generate them. So I think that could be really fun. The 4th rule is I have to dictate who is the face and the heels or who is the tweeners. I have to kind of dictate the roles within the feud as well as explain the feuds. And the 5th rule is I have to say in the end who goes over in my feud. So I, like I said, am not an improv person. I try my best to be funny and I try to entertain all of you with my comedic timing, which I sure hope I have. But we will try this here out today. So let's first pull up the randomizer. Here we go. So the first name and the first person who is going to be in a feud is going to be Natalia from Calgary. Completely random. I swear it's random, but Natalia is the first person. So it could be against a male wrestler. It could be against a female wrestler. It could be against a tag team or a faction. It's all random. So I have to think of something. So we have to figure out ways to integrate them in the feuds, whether it be intergender wrestling or a feud is formed and then I add extra people. It's all up to me. So Natalia's the first, and the second person is Maria Kanellis. Okay. Well, I can already kind of think of an idea here. That's funny that it shows 2 people, 2 female wrestlers from the WWE. I'm here at my random noun generator. So I'm going to hit the generate button, like 3 times, and that's the one it's going to land on. So you all know. So, I mean, you can't tell, but just trust me. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so my random nouns are effector, harvest, and staircase. Okay, so I have no idea what an effector is. Maybe somebody who affects things, but I don't know for sure. And I'm not going to Google anything. Harvest, obviously something to do with harvest, and staircase. So I have to make a feud between Natalia and Maria Kanellis using one of these 3 nouns, probably not effector, one of those 2 nouns, harvest and staircase. Okay, so as we all know right now, Maria Kanellis is pregnant, and I can't actually make her wrestle at this very moment. So my everything has to go based around this. And there's always the whole who's the father to Maria Kanellis' new baby, and we have this whole thing going on with Mike Kanellis, and it's a very awkward storyline where they make Mike Kanellis look like he doesn't have any pants in the relationship. I don't know how to best say that. He's definitely the beta. There we go. I'll say he's the beta. And I'm going to try to integrate this with the Natalia angle. So, Maria Kanellis, obviously has really hurt, Mike Kanellis. So Mike Kanellis goes off and he's like, just backstage catering. He's just eating some food. And he's just, very down and everything. And Natalia approaches him and she says, how you doing? How's everything going with this? And, Mike is like, oh, I just, I want to know who it is. I thought it was my baby, things like that. I'm just continuing along with that feud. And then Maria Kanellis walks in and she's like, hey, what are you doing talking to him? He's mine. And Natalia just tries to defend herself. And, Maria Kanellis, comes and just like slaps her. And Natalia obviously can't retaliate. She's pregnant. And Maria Kanellis is really pushing that, like, I'm pregnant thing. So, Natalia leaves, and later on she's just found at like the top of a staircase or something, and she's just walking down the stairs when Maria Kanellis comes up and pushes her down the stairs. And so there we go. That integrates the staircase noun. And it knocks Natalia out, and Natalia's out for like a week or 2. And then I'm going to integrate another wrestler into this feud. So she isn't seen for a few weeks, and Maria Kanellis is on TV, and she's talking about how she's still trying to figure out who's the father of the baby, when suddenly the music stops and the Titantron's music hits, and it is Pentagon Jr. So, all right. This got really weird, really fast. So it's Pentagon Jr.'s music hits, and Maria Kanellis announces Pentagon Jr. as the father of her baby. And he comes in, and he gets in the ring, and he's all like, Zero, Miero. And then Mike Kanellis' music hits, and he's just like, what are you doing? I'm the dad. And, then as AEW goes and being the elite goes, Pentagon Jr. goes, Zero huevos. This is totally appropriate for children. And that's how this story goes. So Mike Kanellis gets in the ring and they start fighting. So Pentagon Jr. is fighting Mike Kanellis, and Maria Kanellis is in Pentagon Jr.'s corner, and Natalia is in Mike Kanellis' corner. And, she's like kind of injured with like a beat up leg. And, so there's my feud. There you go. That was actually kind of fun to do. So I just integrated, Natalia. I'm going to actually write all these down. So Natalia and Maria Kanellis. And I used staircase. And then I integrated Pentagon Jr. So there you go. Next, that's the first feud that we had to do. So next we move on. The first person is MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman. He's better than you, and you know it, and we all know it too. And he is facing in this feud idea with, or potential storyline idea with, Brock Lesnar. Okay. All right. So MJF is backstage. And, he's insulting everybody in catering. You know how he comes up and he just does his quick little almost compliment, completely backhanded insult, walk away after insulting you again really quickly. So you didn't even get a chance to react to the first insult being like, oh yeah, it was really great what you did here today. I mean, I wouldn't do that with something like your shoes with something so big, but that's fine. But your face is kind of weird, right? And then he just walks away and, he goes out to the ring. And he gets in the ring and he just squashes somebody, like just some local jobber. And, the local jobber, of course, being Ricochet. Ricochet is the local enhancement talent for MJF, who gets absolutely squashed. I'm gonna write all this down while I'm saying this. Brock Lesnar. Integrated Ricochet. So MJF is in the ring and he just beats Ricochet down, absolutely squashes the man. He just stands in the ring, his scarf wrapped around his neck, gum in his mouth, his hands out to the side, going, I'm better than you, and you know it. And everybody's like booing him. And he picks up the mic and he just starts insulting the crowd as he does. And he says, he challenges anybody out there who thinks they're obviously better than MJF. And he just drops the mic and he just waits and he just, he sits at the rope and he hangs back on the ropes and he puts his arm up on the ropes and suddenly, so it's like Brock Lesnar's music hits and, suddenly like you see like Paul Heyman come walking out, just strutting out, and Brock Lesnar just starts walking out and then he does his like little hop thing and Paul Heyman and MJF just looks absolutely mortified in the ring. Like he looks like he is going to shit himself. He is scared to death. And you can't blame him because Brock Lesnar's there. And then Paul Heyman introduces him, obviously. I forgot entirely to do a noun because I just had such a good idea. Hey, that was one of the rules. But I'm going to integrate a noun now because I had completely forgotten to do that. Let's just at least see. Before Paul Heyman speaks, my nouns are hybridization, procedure, remote. Procedure? Okay. So Paul Heyman introduces Brock Lesnar as the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE champion. And Brock Lesnar's like wearing the title. And he talks about MJF and how he runs his mouth and how Brock Lesnar is going to come into the ring and dismantle him. It's going to be like a doctor performing a procedure. There we go. So I'm going to say procedure. And he's going to enjoy just how much he is going to be like dissecting MJF. And MJF is just very scared. And Brock Lesnar runs into the ring and just squashes MJF. And then, like Brock Lesnar has him in the ring, German suplex, F5, F5. He's just laughing. MJF is just dead in the ring when suddenly, whose music hits? It's Danny Burch. Oh yeah, man. Danny Burch's music hits. One half of the tag team with Oney Lorcan obviously comes out, wearing no pants, but like underwear and a jacket that's like zipped up to like most of the way. And his like fingers are splayed out with the number 2 from NXT. And he gets into the ring and he looks Brock Lesnar in the face because he's insane, Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. They're not actually scared. They're just fighters. And he gets in Brock Lesnar's face and he just looks at him and he points at like MJF and he's just like, that's my friend. That guy speaks. And then Brock Lesnar just picks him up and just F5s him and F5s him. And even in my own bookings, Brock Lesnar is booked to beat everybody, isn't he? All right. Well, I guess... Thanks, WWE. All right. Anyways, that was that storyline. So we integrated MJF and Brock Lesnar as our original 2 picks. Then we integrated Ricochet as a jobber using the noun procedure. And then we integrated Danny Burch. All right. I'm enjoying this. Okay. I'm having fun with this now. Now I'm less scared than I was when I first started. But that is just overconfident words from a person who is actually mortified to have to continue to do this. But we're going to. Let's make a third a third feud. The first person in this feud is Shawn Spears, the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. And he is in a feud with... No, you know what? Before I say he's in a feud with this person, he's in a storyline with this person. No. Shawn Spears. I'm already going to start a storyline with Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears is down in his ropes. He just lost his feud against Cody, and he's trying to find ways to, re-involve himself in wrestling, make him feel really strong. And he feels like Tully Blanchard just isn't doing it for him. And Tully Blanchard's like, hey, you have to listen to me. I'm obviously the person with experience here. I'm a horseman, and you should be listening to me. And Shawn Spears is trying to be rebellious. So Shawn Spears leaves Tully Blanchard, and he goes and tries to find some advice from Brandon Cutler. Okay. So Shawn Spears goes and he tries to find advice from Brandon Cutler, the person who is obviously a friend of the Young Bucks, kind of used more as enhancement talent in AEW. He left for 7 years to start a family, but he is back to wrestling, and he did wrestle with the Young Bucks as a teenager. So for those of you who don't know who Brandon Cutler is, I'm sure most of you are more aware with Shawn Spears or Ty Dillinger, but that's who Brandon Cutler is. But I like his storylines. Anyways, so Shawn Spears goes to Brandon Cutler and he's like, man, I just don't think Tully Blanchard's just doing it for me right now. I think I need to find some solace and get some advice from other people. And, Brandon Cutler's like, no, I'm there for you. And then Tully Blanchard breaks and he's just like, you know what, that's my client and I'm his mentor and I'm going to be training him. And Brandon Cutler's like, yeah, well, why don't, but he doesn't like you. I'm going to be his mentor and I'm going to teach him the right ways and how we're going to be champions together, because we're going to form a tag team called the Spears, the Cut Spears. Shawn Spears, Brandon Cutler. We're going to be the Spear Cutters. We're the Spear Cutters, and we're going to rule the tag division. But, Tully Blanchard believes Shawn Spears is too good for Brandon Cutler. And he's like, no, we have to be a real champion. We're going to go for the heavyweight championship. And Brandon Cutler's like, well, we have to have a match for it. So the match stipulation is going to be for the direction of Shawn Spears' career. So does Shawn Spears leave Tully Blanchard and forget the singles scene because he lost his feud against Cody, and does he join Brandon Cutler and form the tag team, the Spear Cutters? So, what does he choose? Which one is it? And so Brandon Cutler and Tully Blanchard have a match using the stipulation, which I'm going to be generating right now because I keep forgetting to generate the nouns because I keep coming up with ideas. The match stipulation is a face silence surname. Face silence. It's a silence match. The other person is silenced from talking to Shawn Spears ever again. So whether or not it's Tully Blanchard as, Shawn Spears' mentor, or Brandon Cutler as Shawn Spears' best friend, because I just made that a thing. And it's for the silence of the others match. That sounds really weird, and that's a horrible stipulation. But anyways, either way, the person is fighting to keep the other person silent, and they face off. And I think this is how Tully Blanchard puts over Brandon Cutler. So Brandon Cutler faces Tully Blanchard, and they put on a great match. But eventually, Brandon Cutler pulls it off at the very end, and Tully Blanchard, he eats the pin because he's obviously very old and shouldn't be wrestling, and puts Brandon Cutler over, and Shawn Spears and Brandon Cutler form the Spear Cutters. And I'm going to say silence was the thing. I didn't integrate anybody else into that. I didn't feel like I needed to. Spear Cutters. I like that. All right. So let's just kind of recap a little bit of what happened. So the very first one was the Natalia Maria Kanellis using a staircase, which integrated Pentagon Jr. The second one was the MJF Brock Lesnar one, which integrated Ricochet as a jobber using a procedure noun, then integrated Danny Burch. And then the third one was Shawn Spears and Brandon Cutler integrating the noun silence, and they just created the Spear Cutters at the very end. And also using Tully Blanchard, which I just used my own self. let's keep going because this is a lot of fun. Next, we have... Oh, I got to go to the right one. Here we go. Next wrestler or performer is Darby Allin. All right. I'm excited for this. Darby Allin, and the second person is Vanessa Borden of NXT. Okay. All right. Let's see how we do this. I'm going to have to immediately go to the nouns here. So let's see what we have for nouns. We get to choose 3 nouns, and they are earthworm, refund, swine. All right. Darby Allin. Okay, I got to write this down because this one's difficult. Darby Allin, Vanessa Bourne. Oh my gosh. Earthworm, refund, swine. So, okay. So Darby Allin, former professional skateboarder, now professional ass kicker in AEW, goes back to the skateboarding scene and puts on a show in Southern California. Florida. It's in Florida. And he puts on a show and, a lot of people buy tickets. And Vanessa Bourne, apparently, really big fan of Darby Allin. And she's like, oh my God, Darby Allin's going to be wrestling in Florida. I'm just happening to be in Florida, whether or not that's where I'm from or not. But I'm in Florida at this very moment, so I'm going to go to the show. So she buys a ticket. Darby Allin, day of, she's very excited. She's a big fan, puts on her Darby Allin shirt, half face, half skeleton face. And, huge fan of Darby Allin. Goes to the wait at the show at the gate, and Darby Allin doesn't show up, and he doesn't offer a refund. Darby Allin's a heel in this, and Vanessa Bourne's pissed. So she waits till the next AEW show, and she somehow gets backstage, and she finds Darby Allin. She's like, yo, you owe me a refund. See, that's where I'm getting refund here. And then she slaps him, and so like, you swine. Also integrated swine there. And you're an earthworm. So I used all of them there. So she calls him a swine and an earthworm, and she demands a refund. And he's like, yo, I don't need to give you a refund. The show had a clause that said, no refunds. So she's mad, and she like slaps him. So she's like, I challenge you to a match. And Darby Allin's like, okay, fine. And if you win, I'll give you a refund. And just at that moment, but who enters very randomly into the locker room at that very moment, but Chris Jericho, the Painmaker himself, the AEW World Champion, walks in and he says, I am le champion. What are you doing in my dressing room? And the Inner Circle are following behind him. Sammy Guevara, we got Jake Hager, we got Santana and Ortiz there, and Darby Allin's like, she says, I owe her a refund, we're gonna go have a match. And Chris Jericho, obviously still very mad at Darby Allin after having almost lost to him only 2 weeks ago. It's like, he just looks at the Inner Circle. He's like, get him. And then like they all jump Darby Allin and just beat the crap out of him. And his wallet falls out. And Chris Jericho picks it up and he like pulls out some money and he like gives it to Vanessa Bourne. And then, and then he calls off his goons, and like Darby Allin's like all beat up, just like kind of like just like breathing heavy and stuff on the ground, just kind of like moving, just like selling really good. Because it's obviously fake, even in my fictional world that I've created. And then he's like, it's all for you. And then Vanessa Bourne just starts beating up on Darby Allin, and a ref comes in, and then it's created the match. It's a Falls Count Anywhere match, and Vanessa Bourne just beating on him, and then pins him. 3 count. Vanessa Bourne wins, and Darby Allin has to give her money, even though she already took some money from Chris Jericho, who took it from Darby Allin. So she gets double a refund. Darby Allin loses. He's the heel, and we all cheer for champion Vanessa Bourne. So that's another storyline right there. And let's see, what time are we at? We're at about 20. You know what? Let's do one more. Let's do one more storyline here. Okay, first up, Nyla Rose, the native beast, as she calls herself, and Xia Li of NXT, the one who I said is the closest person to like a Mortal Kombat character because she fights just like Katana, and her wrestling style is just very beautiful. She's from China, so she integrates a lot of the beautiful moves of kung fu and stuff into her fighting style, and it's just really pretty. So Xia Li and Nyla Rose of AEW. Let's get some nouns going here. Let's see, what are my 3 nouns? Mathematics, Nick, which is apparently a noun, sideburns. Oh my god. Okay, I think I have to do mathematics on this one. No, okay, so Xia Li is in okay, I'm gonna write all this down, hold on. So Xia Li is in a pub. And she's just having a drink with her best friend, the Big Show. Okay, the Big Show. She's just sitting in a pub having a drink with her best friend, the Big Show, when Nyla Rose walks in and she makes fun of the Big Show's sideburns, which he has been growing for a charity event. Xia Li's like really mad at Nyla Rose. She's like, you don't get to insult the Big Show. That's the Big Show. He's the world's largest athlete. And Nyla Rose pushes Xia Li. She's like, what you going to do about it? And Xia Li's like, I'm going to beat you up in the ring, and I'm going to fight you. And they start fighting in the bar, and it's a barroom brawl match. And Big Show like rips his shirt off, and it's like a referee's outfit. And so the Big Show is going to be the referee for this match, but he's clearly in the favor of Xia Li. So Xia Li quickly beats Nyla Rose with a quick roll-up and a fast count. And Nyla Rose is like angry, and she's yelling at the Big Show. And she's like, you have to restart the match. That was unfair. I demand something better. When suddenly the door bursts open into the barroom brawl, and in comes Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, the tag team, coming in going, this is unfair. And they're both wearing referees' outfits, and they go up to the Big Show, and they're like, that was a fast count. What are you doing? And the Big Show like picks up both of them with both hands, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, and just like choke slams them because they're both jobbers, and it's just like in real life. And the Big Show stands tall, and Xia Li stands tall, and Nyla Rose just angry and runs out the bar, losing the match. Xia Li wins, and the Big Show also stands tall over Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Yeah. Okay, let's also integrate them. So that was Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Okay, guys. I said that was the last one, but I'm gonna do one more because I'm really enjoying this. One more random feud decided by random list generators and a noun generator, which so far all the nouns that I've managed to integrate have been staircase, procedure, silence, refund swine and earthworm, and sideburns. So, yeah. All right. The very last feud integrates No Way Jose. Okay. No Way Jose. No way. Okay. And then it integrates Jon Moxley. Okay. That's awesome. And, what is our noun going to be here? Because I think I've already got an idea, but I want to see if I can integrate some nouns. Chub, disclaimer, tram. So a tram, I'm guessing like a train, okay, so No Way Jose and Jon Moxley. So Jon Moxley, formerly Dean Ambrose, obviously No Way Jose, No Way Jose always comes in a conga line. So Jon Moxley is like cutting a promo inside of a tram, like an underground subway. And he's like in a feud right now with Kenny Omega, and he's got like barbed wire on his hand, and he's like, his kind of hand's bleeding a little bit, and he's just getting really angry, and he's talking about his feud with Kenny Omega, and like he's just like in this like subway, and he's just cutting this promo, and suddenly the door to the tram opens, and No Way Jose is there, and he's just coming in, and suddenly it's randomly his music starts playing, and it's like, No Way Jose, and he comes in, and he's followed by the conga line of people, and like Jon Moxley like turns around and is like, what the hell's going on? And he's just like dancing, and he's like throwing his hands up in the air. And surprisingly, just for random sakes, the very last member of the conga line, just disguised, but very disguised poorly, but is clearly there, but is disguised poorly, is Sheamus. Sheamus is just at the back of the conga line. You know, he's got a little bit of a mask on, but it's so very clearly Sheamus at the back of this conga line, which is amazing. And Jon Moxley just looks at No Way Jose, and he just like punches No Way Jose, and No Way Jose goes down, and he like falls backwards, and it like domino affects the entire conga line behind him until it hits Sheamus, and like Sheamus just like hits the back window, and his mask falls off, and it's Sheamus. And Sheamus just looks at Jon Moxley, and he's like, well, you the hell, and then they just start fighting, and Sheamus starts fighting Jon Moxley, and Jon Moxley starts fighting Sheamus, and they're just beating up on each other, and No Way Jose is just down because he got punched by Jon Moxley, and he's still a jobber in mine as well. And the train stops, and they start fighting out into the train station, and there's just a bunch of people there, and like the security guards are like surrounding people. They're like, get back, get back, get back. And so Sheamus and Jon Moxley are just fighting, and then suddenly like No Way Jose is just coming in behind them, and he's just kind of like, he kind of surrounds behind the security guards who's like holding everybody back, and he just creates a ring of a conga line, just an extra ring of protection. And Jon Moxley and Sheamus are just fighting there, and they're just beating up at each other like it's an actual fight. And suddenly a whistle blows, and a person running in with a referee's outfit by the name of Andrade, accompanied by Zelina Vega. So Andrade comes out, and he's wearing a referee's outfit, and Zelina Vega is there as well, and she's also wearing a referee's outfit, and they both like stand tall, and they put their fist up in the air like they do. And, people are just chanting like, El Idolo, and everybody's like, Andrade, Andrade. Anyway, so Jon Moxley and Sheamus keep fighting, and Andrade assumes the position of ref, and the match starts, and it's just like an actual street fight. And, they start fighting, and they're just beating up on each other, and Sheamus is just like going full brawler mode, and Jon Moxley is going full brawler mode, and he still has like barbed wire on his hand, so everybody's like bleeding a little bit. And Jon Moxley picks up a weapon. I'm going to just do another random noun generator for it. So, because I can't use anything else right now. Disclaimer. I can't use that. So, the next set of nouns are Alb, Daikon, and Disaster. I have no idea. Daikon, isn't that like a vegetable? I think it's a vegetable. I got to Google it quickly because I have no idea what it is, and I don't want to make fun of myself. Hold on. Daikon. Yeah, it's like a radish. Okay, perfect. So Jon Moxley like reaches into like a garbage can and pulls out like this like white, like almost carrot looking radish called a daikon, and he just starts like throwing it at Sheamus, and Sheamus dodges, and he like does a disaster kick because I did daikon and now disaster. Hold on, daikon, disaster. Anyways, and in this, I guess you could say that Jon Moxley's the heel, even though he was reacting to No Way Jose, but Sheamus is reacting getting punched. So they're both kind of reactionary tweeners in this, so you don't quite know who you're supposed to be cheering for. So that's how this goes. Anyways, so they're fighting, and Jon Moxley eventually hits Sheamus with the paradigm shift onto just like that barbed wire left over from earlier, and laying on that was wrapped around the daikon, which was just used in the match in a very disgusting way that we cannot talk about because it's just too graphic. And he pins Sheamus, and Andrade, the ref, counts 1, 2, 3, and then Zelina Vega and Andrade like grab Jon Moxley's hands, and he just throws them up, and they're like, champion, and then they give him a title. The disaster title again. I don't know what that is. Anyways, So those are my stories. So let's recap one last time. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we had the Natalia Maria Kanellis match where Natalia kind of befriends Mike Kanellis, and Maria Kanellis gets angry at her and pushes Natalia down a staircase, and then says that Pentagon Jr. is actually the father because we integrated Pentagon Jr. And then Mike Kanellis and Pentagon Jr. fight in the ring. So that was the first one. The second one was MJF and Brock Lesnar, where MJF squashes Ricochet, who we integrated, and then Brock Lesnar comes out and destroys MJF. And Paul Heyman cuts a promo using the word procedure, which was our noun. And then Danny Burch's music hits to come in to try to defend MJF after Brock Lesnar squashes him, and then Brock Lesnar squashes Danny Burch. The third one was Shawn Spears and Brandon Cutler, where Shawn Spears was hesitant to continue the teachings of Tully Blanchard. So he goes to his best friend Brandon Cutler and says, I think we should maybe do our own thing, and I don't know about Tully anymore. And Brandon Cutler says we should form a tag team called the Spear Cutters. And Tully Blanchard comes in and is like, no, he should be a singles competitor. And Brandon Cutler says, no, a tag competitor. So they have this fight for the other person's silence, which was our noun. So if Brandon Cutler wins, then Tully Blanchard wasn't allowed to teach Shawn Spears. And if Tully Blanchard won, then Shawn Spears wasn't allowed to be a tag team with Brandon Cutler. And Brandon Cutler goes over, and the Spear Cutters are formed. The fourth one, Darby Allin and Vanessa Bourne, where Vanessa Bourne was a big fan of Darby Allin, so she buys tickets to a show where he's going to be skateboarding, and he doesn't show, so she wants a refund, which was the word. And she challenges into a match, and then suddenly Chris Jericho, who he integrated, comes in, and Vanessa Bourne calls him a swine and an earthworm to Darby Allin, and Chris Jericho's like, him and the Inner Circle come in and just beat up Darby Allin, and then Vanessa Bourne goes and starts like a match where Chris Jericho's the ref, and Vanessa Bourne just pins Darby Allin and wins and gets her refund back. The next feud was Xia Li and Nyla Rose, where Xia Li was in a pub with her best friend, The Big Show, who we integrated. And Nyla Rose comes in and makes fun of The Big Show's sideburns, which was the noun. So Xia Li and Nyla Rose start fighting, and Big Show does a fast count in the match because he's like the ref, and Nyla Rose is like pissed, and she's like, no, we need a better match in this barroom brawl, when suddenly Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, who we integrated, come in wearing referee outfits, but then the Big Show just squashes both of them, and Xia Li and Big Show stand tall. Yep. And then the fifth one, and the final one we did, was No Way Jose and Jon Moxley, where Jon Moxley is on a tram cutting a promo when suddenly No Way Jose and his conga line come in, and the tram was the verb, or the noun, I'm sorry. No Way Jose and his conga line come in, and the very last member of the conga line, disguised, but very poorly disguised, was Sheamus. And Jon Moxley punches No Way Jose, and he falls down and does a conga line, just does like a domino effect all the way to the back where it hits Sheamus, and Sheamus goes into the wall, and he's just like, oh, he's so angry, so he starts beating up on Jon Moxley when they have a actual street fight, and Andrade and Zelina Vega come in to be the referees, and then we integrated the daikon, the vegetable, wrapped in barbed wire, and we eventually have at this moment Sheamus hitting a disaster kick, but Jon Moxley winning in the end, and they stand tall. That was our bunch of random feuds that we created here. This was a lot of fun to do. I'm going to do this again. If you guys like this, please let me know. Please subscribe and like, and just make a comment. Seriously, if you enjoyed this, leave a comment and tell me you enjoyed this. And I just know that I did do it all for myself. This was just so much fun to do, just trying to improv my way through some storylines and feuds. And I actually really enjoyed this. So whether or not you enjoyed it, I'm going to do this again. So I really hope you enjoyed it, because it's going to happen. And so thank you very much. Like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Wrestlesode, and go check out our website. Go check out our YouTube channel. Everything will be in the links below. And I hope you have yourself a great day. See you next time.